Hi everyone, welcome back to another video, and if you are new here, hello, my name is Chua, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the things I learned in my first year of project panning. So if you found my channel based on my project pan videos, then you'll probably know that this is actually my first official year intentionally project panning. That means I am tracking like the amount of products I used, being intentional of using up a lot of my makeup and all of that. Before I ever did project panning, I already am using up some of my makeup products already organically, like especially my complexion based products, and then I would hit pan on certain products that I really love, but I've never actually intentionally pan certain products till like the very end, until like there is nothing left of the product to use up. The first one is that this year, with my intentional and pretty public project panning, I learned that I have a lot more in my collection than I thought I did. I feel like before I was really intentional with my project panning journey, I thought my collection was pretty small compared to other people, whether it's like what I see online or people in my real life. So I thought I had a pretty small collection, but it turns out that although my collection does look smaller than like beauty content creators and whatnot, I still have quite a lot of makeup, and even though it fits like all in one cart, it's still quite a lot of makeup products. And I felt like I wouldn't be as conscious about the amount of makeup I have, or care as much about my collection if I was not on this project pan journey. So that helped me be able to kind of keep track of the amount of makeup I have in every category, and then also help me be able to consciously keep track of, okay, what am I realistically finishing in every category. And so I have realized that I do have a lot of lip products, and I in the past have not really been much of a lip product person. I will put it on whenever I have makeup on, but I would never really like reapply lipstick, reapply lip gloss, reapply my lip liner, stuff like that. But with project panning, because I am intentionally trying to use up products so they don't just sit in my collection, I reapply makeup a lot more than I used to. And then also helping me be conscious of like, why do I have so many blushes when I organically, outside of this project, reach for maybe 2 of them as like my favorite go-tos. That has made me become a little bit more conscious and aware of how big my collection actually is. The second lesson I learned throughout this first year of project panning is really getting to know my skin. When I was on medications, when I was sick and hospitalized like 2-3 years ago, my skin was not like this. My skin was very like acne prone. I was really puffy because of my medications and stuff like that. So I was very insecure, and I didn't really wear that much makeup because of my skin condition. But with project panning this year, I have learned that because I am wearing more makeup like almost every single day, I had to take care of my skin very well in order to have a good makeup day and to prevent breakouts from unclean skin. I learned that when I wear a lot of heavy eye makeup consecutively, the corner of my eye like will start to itch and almost kind of like have an eczema flare up, and it's just not good. So there are days that when I do have to wear makeup, I go lighter on the eye makeup because I'm trying to give my eyes a rest. And also I learned a little bit more about just my complexion in general. I used to just kind of guess the shade in my foundations, my concealers and stuff like that, but because of project panning this year, I have been a little more conscious and intentional with trying to find a really good match when it comes to shades, so that way I don't have like a ton of shades within one line of product. And also because of project panning, I have learned a little bit more of what products sits well on my skin with certain skincare items, or what will look good on my skin depending on like if my skin is dehydrated or if I slept well, stuff like that. Because there are some products that don't look on days when I'm exhausted, but they look amazing on days when I am, when I have a good sleep and I am hydrated and well rested and eating healthy and all of that. So that is what I learned within this year of project planning. And then alongside these lessons, the third lesson is learning more about my preferences. I didn't grow up with people in my life, like immediate family, that wore a lot of makeup or cared a lot about like, beauty. So I didn't grow up seeing people apply makeup around me until I was in high school or so. And that was when I got into makeup and started to like discover more about it on YouTube. But I didn't have the financial means to try out all of these products. So whatever products that were handed to me, whether they were hand-me-downs or they were decluttered to me or whatever, I would just take it. And if the product didn't originally work well, I would force it to work for me, or I would just live with the results of whatever was given to me, because I didn't have the financial means to be like, okay, I don't like this, I'm gonna declutter this, I'm gonna throw this away or something like that. So I kept it and tried to force it to work with what I have. Because of that, I've been just really okay with trying out things that came in my BoxyCharm. Back then they would pick the 5 full-size items for you, and then you kind of just have to like deal with it. And so even if there were makeup items that I didn't really, organically reach for, and it's not something that I will reach and purchase myself, I would try to make it work for as long as I could until like it was like 2-3 years down the road, and like if nobody wanted it, I would have just tossed it. But now that Ipsy Extra allows us to pick 3 out of the 5 items, I feel like I'm able to kind of really pick what I am preferring. And then also with this project pan, being able to get to know these products that are entered into my project helps me be able to learn more about my preferences when it comes to formulation, shades, colors, finishes, and all of that. So I have noticed that I am a little bit pickier this year when it comes to my makeup, because I have spent a pretty long time with certain products, and if it's a product that no longer works for me, then I am giving myself permission to declutter it, because I just don't like it anymore and I'm not gonna force myself to use it up. Versus like if I didn't have this project pan, I probably would still have a lot of makeup products in my collection that I do not use, but I want it there just in case it ever works for me, and also to make my makeup collection look bigger than what I actually use, you know what I mean? The fourth lesson that I learned in my first year of project panning is that makeup brings me a lot more joy and happiness than I thought. And that probably sounds weird to some people, where it's like, why wouldn't you have noticed that, especially with all the years that you have been like wearing makeup. But I think it's because with this project pan, I don't know how to explain it, but the feeling of finishing a product feels so good. And then especially finding out that there are certain products in my collection that I actually really love but have neglected for a while has made me really appreciate, makeup. And to be completely transparent, back then, like, I do like makeup. Like I love makeup. It's something that is outside of my like professional career that I love, I am passionate about, and all of that. But even back then when I was younger, whether I was in college and high school and all that, I still sometimes wore makeup just to look pretty, right? To cover up my insecurities, my flaws, and all of that. But with this year of project panning, it was more about empowerment than anything else. It was more about like, what can I do with this palette? What can I challenge myself to do today? Like this look, 10 years ago, Chua probably would not wear something like this. Like, she would probably admire it from afar if beauty creators created something like this, but she would not probably create a look like this and then go out into public and be like, yeah, I'm slaying. You know what I mean? So makeup has become a sense of joy and happiness in my life. It has been a form of therapy for me, and I wear makeup now because I love the process of makeup application. I love the creativity that comes with it. I love the freedom and just the way it can change my mood and like really elevate my style, whether it's like, you know, matching what I'm wearing, my shoes, the day, the season. I just like it so much more when I attach more positive vibes and attitudes and behaviors behind makeup versus like the other stuff where like, you know, makeup should be hiding, you know, the ugly stuff, you know what I mean? So even like if people think I'm wearing a lot of makeup to cover up my, you know, insecurities and all that, like it doesn't bother me anymore. If people think that, then they think that. But for me, it's a form of therapy and empowerment. And I have been loving the different looks that I have created this year within my Project Pan. And that's all I gotta say about it. And the fifth lesson is realizing how fast or how slow it takes to finish a product. I know that's gonna be like, oh my gosh, oh yeah, duh, kind of thing, but like I never consciously and like intentionally made myself aware of like how fast or how slow a product in my collection was completed, basically. Because if it's done, it's done. If it's not done yet, it's just gonna sit in my collection until it's done, kind of thing, right? It wasn't something that I was tracking. It wasn't something that I really cared for, and I guess was not curious about back then. But with this first year of Project Panning, I have come to realize that I do enjoy that process of knowing what products I use the most of and like how fast I get through it. So for example, powders. Loose powders and even pressed powders, those are the makeup products that I fly through. Same with setting sprays. I fly through them, and I probably would not have been made aware of that if I wasn't consciously tracking all of that in this Project Pan. And also learning that it takes a long time to Project Pan cheek products. It never really bothered me if I ever hit pan on cheek products because they're cheek products, you know, and the longer they stay in my collection, the less I need to bring into my collection. Although that's not the case this year, right? But now that I'm actually intentionally seeing how long it is taking me to finish a blush, a bronzer, a highlight, I'm like, dang, like I'm making really good progress, but it's taking a long time, especially when it comes to products that I am still learning to use and apply, like liquids, creams, balms. Those take a lot longer, and I wouldn't have known that if I was not intentionally putting all these things into a Project Pan. And then also, like, with the realization of how long it takes certain products, it helps me become a little bit more conscious of the shelf life of these products. And so it's like influencing me to use up these products more and more frequently and like use more amounts of it, not just to get it done, but like at a reasonable like pace so that it doesn't expire and then I just have to declutter it because it is bad and I'm not gonna put a expired oily separated lip gloss, for example, on my lips because that's just going to cause a lot of bacterial growth and infections and stuff like that. So because of that, I have learned that although I do want to bring in other stuff into my collection, especially cheek products, I think cheek products are my weaknesses and I just really want to bring more and more, but I know I don't need it. So it's making me like be more conscious, like, you know what, like if I finish X amount of blushes, I will give myself permission to bring in another one. So those are the 5 lessons that I learned in my first year of Project Panning. And I am so glad that there is a community out there that have sort of the same mindset of using what you have. I know that's a very simple thing to say, and like it's a very no-brainer kind of way of thinking, because you should be using what you have. But in a world of overconsumption, and it's always about like new releases and buy, sometimes we start to detach ourselves from what we already have, and this is helping me bring myself back to the frugal, money saver chill days, and appreciating what I already have, and then also being explorative and just the consciousness, the intentionality, the awareness behind this kind of project is what I love about it, because it's given me a sense of purpose. It's making me think a little bit more about my footprint on this world and my habits, whether or not it is something that is impacting me or people around me or my environment. Like, I want to be a little bit more conscious about that. I also just don't want to be a hoarder of things and have things just sitting around. I've done that in the past where I will keep things that could have been recycled, things that could have been thrown away a long time ago, and I just keep hoarding it until someone forces me to throw it out, and I don't know why. But this is helping me be able to use things up, and I really like that. So I am going to continue on this Project Pan journey and just be better at it and be more conscious with not only the overconsumption but also just like the money aspects of it, because we don't usually think about that. And I want to be more adult about it, if that makes any sense. Anyways, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for just being here. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Comment down below on what you would like to see next, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.